Hey everyone, Wood here. So, probably a couple weeks ago, a good friend of mine, you guys might know him as Vermont Survivalist or also as Ordnance Sergeant, called me out on YouTube, basically just, wanting me to do kind of like a gear review on what I do for Civil War reenacting. So today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of go over an overview of just my bare necessities of what I use for reenacting and some of the companies that I grab my gear from. Uh, so yeah, without any further ado, here we go. So first thing I'd like to point out is my shirts. These two shirts are they are made from the Quartermaster shop. Relatively inexpensive. I mean, you're probably going to pay right around 40, maybe $50 for these shirts, but you can find them online. There's a lot of like on Facebook and so on and so forth, like Civil War, trade blanket websites and things like that, where guys are selling their equipment for relatively cheap. Definitely would suggest washing your stuff obviously before putting it on, because you never know. There's some nasty people out there. But anyway, these two shirts. This shirt here I got from actually my older brother, and this shirt here, well, I ended up buying this one online, the plaid one, and that's kind of more or less like your homespun shirt. A lot of guys, in the Civil War, early war would start out with the enlisted shirt, or if you were in regular army, and then eventually guys just kind of started wearing their own stuff from home because that's just what was readily available at the time, due to a lot of the materials going to the war effort. So people started kind of improvising, wearing their own stuff, and eventually it just kind of became, standard. People just wearing whatever they had. But anyway, so these brogans here, these are actually what I would consider basically your footwear for Civil War reenacting, and obviously, during the Civil War. These brogans, if I remember right, are, I think, CNC cutlery. Don't quote me on that, but anyway, they've been through some hell of a punishment, but they still keep on going. I absolutely love them. They are now, perfectly comfortable on my feet, and sometimes, if I go for a walk, I'll actually throw them on just to kind of, keep them, nice and loose and break them in. But for the most part, obviously, you can see they've seen some wear and tear, but they're relatively comfortable. Also inside of mine, I also have, Dr. Scholl's, because, hey, you got to take care of your feet. If you wore these things without those, chances are your feet would probably hate you. Um, so next, I actually have a set of Gaiters, one for the left foot, one for the right foot. These two, I think, are CNC Sutlery, or they might even be the Quartermaster shop. Actually, I think they are the Quartermaster shop now that I think about it. A lot of regiments in the beginning of the Civil War, were kind of dressed up all fancy and whatnot, and this was kind of the standard, it was a set of gaiters with your uniform. So, reenacting purposes, you'll see these things sometimes. Other times you won't. Guys will wear them. I wear them if I'm going to do like an early war impression. But if I'm going to do late war, obviously I won't have them on, but they're kind of a pain in the ass to put on. And quite frankly, they're just annoying because they always fall down and slip down. So I try to keep them off. So anyway, moving on. Yeah, here's a set of trousers, with suspenders. Again, these are CNC Sutlery, I believe. Definitely seen some wear and tear. And obviously, you can see how dirty they are. Yes, they're clean, but, they're still pretty filthy. Because Civil War soldiers, believe it or not, guys, their uniforms were not spick and spam. I don't care who you are. If you're a true, authentic campaigner or whatnot, their uniforms were not spick and spam. They were filthy. These guys were absolutely just fucking disgusting. But anyway, so moving on, I wear a great coat, obviously, when it gets cold. These things are super warm, but they're super expensive. I mean, you're probably going to pay bare minimum $300 for one. I've only worn this, I think, once for an event, and I ended up loaning it out to a friend of mine when he went to Cedar Creek because he didn't have one, and he said it was super warm. And I'm glad that he only wore it because it was in the middle of October. So anyway, yeah, there's not really much more. I mean, it's pretty heavy wool. I mean, it's super comfortable, but again, it's wool. It's super hot. A lot of this equipment, guys, is wool. Like right here is my early war frock coat. I wear this when I do an early war impression because a lot of units at the beginning of the Civil War had these uniforms, and this was kind of your standard issued stuff. Obviously you have the forge cap. So most of my equipment, guys, here, like my Hardy hat, this is from the quartermaster shop. So is in my frock coat's quartermaster shop. Or no, correction, frock coat's not quartermaster shop. I actually picked this up from Sutler, actually, in Great Britain. It took about 4-ish months to get here, but I do really like it. It's really awesome quality. My forge cap here, this is actually to the quartermaster shop. So I wear my forge cap if I'm going to do late war, and that's actually a Vermont Corps badge. And obviously, again, 2nd Vermont Infantry for my Hardy hat. But I wear both of these hats if I'm going to do like early or late war. Forge cap, definitely late war, early war, Hardy hat, But yeah, it's quartermaster shop. Most of my stuff comes from. I really recommend them. They know what they're doing in terms of their equipment, and the quality is just absolutely, awesome. So, if you can, definitely, go online and get your stuff from quartermaster shop, or actually visit Gettysburg, and you can get, stuff like this. And they'll actually make the hats right then and there for you. So, which is pretty cool. Or they'll have them readily available on their shelves. So definitely visit it if you can, if you ever go to Gettysburg, which I definitely would recommend too. So moving on here again, we have a quartermaster shop. This is actually a Berdan Sharpshooter hat with First Corps badge and also First Corps diamond emblem. So this would be for the first United States sharpshooters, and they were actually from Vermont, which is my home state. So, I'm currently trying to work on a, I'd say late war sharpshooter impression, which is basically, your green hat with your fatigue blouse, which is CNC cutlery, and, basically your blue pants. And that's really about it. And obviously your leather goods, and musket or whatnot. But that's basically your late war, or your late war sharpshooter impression. Early war, Berdan sharpshooters all wore green, completely green uniforms, stood out. And they were definitely like a prized possession. If you were shot and killed with your equipment, the Confederates would actually come and take your shit, which is why they kind of went to the blue uniform, because you blended in more with the regular troops and with the volunteer troops. And not only that, they couldn't figure out who were sharpshooters and who weren't. But again, this is quartermaster shop. I love the make of it. I got a McDowell brim, which is accurate. Late war, they had the squared off brims, but I'm a huge McDowell brim kind of guy. But it's a good make, good quality hat. And obviously if you're going to get one, you need to get with the black buttons, because that's, 100% accurate for the time of the Civil War. Which obviously is different from the regular forge cap. And I'm a huge forge cap with the McDowell brim. I don't mind the square brim. I get it, but I'm not a square brim kind of guy. I like my McDowell brims because I just think it's a slick look. So next, we have again, quartermaster shop, belt and cartridge box. So I also have the SNY plates, because this is my home state of New York, SNY, state of New York. And again, with the belt plate. So I put my cartridge box on this belt because it's a later war look, and also I fall in with a regiment called the 118th New York. And these guys are based out of northern New York, kind of from the mid, east, and central part of northern New York. And I'm not talking Buffalo, guys. I'm talking like way up in New York, like Adirondack, New York. But anyway, so I put my cartridge box, on this belt. I also put the cap box and, the regular belt. I put everything on this belt, and the bayonet, obviously. Everybody knows, bayonets. Yes, guys freaking use these things. More often than not, these were used in combat because, this is the closest thing you had to a freaking knife if you didn't have one. But again, this is kind of older gear. I've had this stuff for a while. Quartermaster shop makes really good equipment. So does CNC cutlery. which is actually what this fatigue blouse is. You know, again, it's all wool. But I would definitely recommend getting your stuff from either Quartermaster Shop, which is, they're expensive, but their quality is awesome. CNC Cutlery, the quality is a little bit less, but they're still, they still have good stuff. They still make good stuff, and it's actually relatively cheaper, which, if you don't have a lot of money, is definitely the way to go. So CNC Cutlery, if you have a little bit of money. If you want to spend more money, more bang for your buck, then definitely, go to Quartermaster Shop. But, anyway, so late war, a lot of guys started ditching the crossguard chest belts and just kind of started throwing shit on a regular belt because it was easy to ditch if they needed to ditch it. And it was just easier on your freaking hips as opposed to having, this really annoying strap across your chest. Ordnance Sergeant wears the crossguard chest belt with a United States emblem. I don't wear that. The only time I wear that is when I'm wearing my early war stuff, which is over there. And it's really annoying, especially if you have like a bag, like a pack, an actual backpack. It's just too many straps to take care of. Just shit gets in the way. And you're also wearing freaking haversack, your canteen, your belt, your bayonet, your crossguard belt, goes across your chest. I mean, it's just too much stuff. It's way too much stuff, and I just, I'm a reenactor. I'm not an actual Civil War soldier, so I prefer to be a little more comfortable when I go to a reenactment. But anyway, that's just my preference. So moving on, here we have a canteen. This holds water. Obviously there's nothing, important about that. It's just a freaking canteen. You can pick them up for like $10, $15, whatever. I got this one at New Market Reenactment 2019. We have a Bowie knife. This was actually given to me by a very close friend of mine, also a friend of Ordnance Sergeant. This right here is the early war impression that I wear. This is the regular standard issue, U.S. cartridge belt and cartridge box. And the breastplate that I was telling you guys about is right here. This is the breastplate of the Union Army. With the eagle on it. So, again, it's just I don't mind wearing it like in this configuration, but then again I do, because I'm not a huge fan of, the crossguard belt going across my chest and shit. I try to keep myself somewhat nimble, and able to move. That's just me personally. And obviously, you have your bayonet. So, there's many different impressions you can do in terms of Civil War. Many different gear styles. I mean, guys I'm sure will probably rip into me on this video, which is whatever. Hey, I don't care. I try to keep it simple. I don't want to get loaded down with a ton of gear and whatnot. I just like to, stay somewhat nimble, somewhat comfortable. So anyway, moving on. So this musket, this 1861 Springfield, this was standard issue during the Civil War. Many units had them, and actually Confederates would actually steal these off the dead after a battle. Because these muskets were these were the Ferrari at the time. These were the things that you wanted, and that they were relatively expensive. If you were to buy one during that time, I think it was something like $150, something like that, which, obviously in today's standards is a couple grand, but, back then, I mean, this was the musket, and you could get them basically for free if you won the battle, or if you had the balls to go out at night on the battlefield and take one off the dead. Shoots a 58 caliber musket ball, conical musket ball, and this one right here, I believe this musket, I own two of them. This musket here, I think, is a Pendersoli. I think my other one is a Chiappa, which I do like. It's a good musket, but Pendersoli makes good stuff. And obviously, you have your sling. So, yeah, guys, I mean, this is kind of my overview on my gear. I mean, I'm sorry it's not like wicked crazy in depth. I mean, this is kind of my basic, setup when I go to a reenactment. I do have a tent and all that stuff, and like lamps and lanterns, and I'm not going to go into like the real deep nitty gritty crap because there's just too much shit to go through. But this is kind of my basic uniform setup. I have my late war and my early war. you know, and you don't really need much. I mean, if you kind of just get shoes, pants, a jacket, hat, your leather works, and a musket, you're good to go. You can go to any Civil War event. A lot of guys will actually toss you their spare gear and just say keep it, or you can purchase it for like, you know, 20 bucks. I mean, it's, you know, guys are always selling shit. You know, reenactments are great to pick up gear. So I would definitely recommend, if you're interested in, you know, going to a reenactment and like trying to get with a unit, definitely go there and just, you know, say, does anybody have any gear that they want to sell or part with, or even just ask guys like, hey, you know, like, can I borrow some gear just to get into the fight with y'all? Yeah, you can definitely do that too. You know, that's actually how I started with my Civil War reenacting career, if you want to call it. But yeah, guys, anyway, this is Wood's, you know, gear. This is my video. Obviously, again, it's not too in-depth, not like Vermont Survivalist. I mean, I don't have as much, you know, equipment and gear as he does. I mean, I got some, but not a lot. I don't have a backpack. I'm not a firm believer in, you know, wearing a backpack to a reenactment, because during the war, during the actual Civil War, a lot of guys actually would chuck their shit. The only stuff they would carry is their leatherworks, a canteen, and maybe, if you're lucky, they bring a haversack, maybe. Now, Vermont Survivalist has a leather haversack, or a tarred haversack. Me personally, I have the actual, like not a linen, but it's like a like a canvas kind of haversack. So that's what I carry. It's a later war kind of look, or excuse me, early war look. But a lot of guys would either bring your leathers, your canteen, you know, and your uniform. They would chuck the bags and whatever excess gear they had, because during a fight, you know, it was hot. You know, you were always on the move, and they had several guys actually leaving. You know, they would have guys designated, if their unit, you know, advanced or took a position and held it, they would have guys actually go back and grab everybody's gear. You know, you kind of see that in the movie Saving Private Ryan. I'm not going to get into that. Watch the movie if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so yeah, you know, guys would just, you know, carry the bare minimum. That's what I kind of like to portray when I do a reenactment, is I carry the bare minimum. Like, I actually carry what most guys carried in the Civil War into an actual fight. You know, everything else kind of stays in camp or stays behind the lines, you know, during a battle or whatever you want to call it. You know, yes, I have a tent. Yes, I have lanterns. Yes, I have chairs, so on and so forth. But this is basically your bare, like, hey, this is what I'm going to get set up with for wanting to reenact the Civil War. Or, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking to do for impressions. You know, this is kind of your options for right now. Anyway, guys, you know, if you have any questions, you know, definitely leave comments in my video. I would greatly appreciate that, and definitely subscribe if you want to see more videos. You know, I'm going to be posting more. I'm sorry I haven't posted in a while. Just been super busy with work, and I'm just tired when I get home, and I just don't want to make videos. You know, not only that, I try not to look at myself, and I know I have ugly feet. I don't care. Go ahead and comment. It's freaking hilarious. You know, and not only that, I'd like to get some feedback. I'd love to get more comments from you guys. Or better yet, tell me what you guys wear at your reenactments or with your units. Like, do you guys have specific unit gear? What are some impressions you guys want to do or want to see? Or better yet, what impressions do you guys do? Do you guys do sharpshooters? Do you do, you know, Iron Brigade? I mean, or do you do just regular infantry? You know, and tell me what units you're with. It'd be great to meet up with you guys at some of these reenactments in the future. You know, hopefully, you know, COVID, you know, dependent, obviously. Hopefully this shit goes away soon, because I'm tired of, you know, not having reenactments to go to. But anyway, guys, you know, this is Wood, and this is my gear. This is my Civil War stuff. So Vermont Survivalist or Ordnance Sergeant, if you guys know him, definitely check him out. Subscribe to his stuff. He's got really good videos, good content, and he's just an awesome dude. As I said, he's one of my best friends in my life, and I love the guy, you know, to no end. But anyway, guys, this is Wood, you know, and hey, I'll catch you guys later on down the road, and stay safe, be safe, and stay vigilant.